Alright guys, so we're in the back shop area, the service department area, and we wanted to conduct an experiment here. A question that, surprisingly enough, I've been getting a lot is people have this misconception that on the new Softail frame, you have to take off the rear wheel to change the battery. And I heard it a couple times, a couple people asked, like, hey, is it true you have to take off the rear wheel to change the battery on the new Softail? And I just thought like they were crazy and I just kind of dismissed it. And then someone linked a video in the comment section on a Fat Boy video that I posted recently.
This is a 2019 Softail we got here, right? Okay. Yeah.
And it was these two technicians from who knows where. One of them goes by Country.
The Country here changing the oil on it.
And he said, they were saying that you have to take off the rear wheel to change a battery.
What did Harley do? Oh, well, let's put the battery in from the factory where you got to take the back tire out.
The battery is up behind, yeah, not just the back tire, right?
Just the back tire and then the plates, and if you buy one of these things and you don't have a warranty, you're
Let's take a look at where the battery is. Go around the other side of this thing.
more or less.
This is a brand new bike. The battery is up in there. Harley calls for a 4-hour job? 5 hours?
Harley is 6 hours.
Harley wants 6 hours to change your battery. So how much does that cost? That's this Softail. Oh my God.
You're going to have the battery, that's $200, and then you're going to have $600–700 in labor. So $1,000.
We got $1,000 to change the battery?
So I'm here with Nick and we're going to conduct a little bit of an experiment here. And I'm going to let Nick, I'm going to link a little bit of the video that I'm talking about. It's painfully bad. Like, it's so painfully ridiculous. We've been kind of laughing about the video for about an hour now around the shop. We've been showing everybody. It's just so bad how bad this rumor is. And the fact that these technicians actually think that you have to take off the rear wheel to change the battery on a Softail. But so I'll let Nick talk to you guys a little bit about the experiment we're going to conduct here.
So I'm going to take my battery out of my bike and put it back in. It's a 2018 Softail. It's not a Fat Boy, but you know, the service manual for both the bikes is the same. It's also not a 2019, but nothing's changed dramatically in terms of the battery placement on the Softail frame since it was redesigned in 2018. So really, I'm not a wrench. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I swapped the mirrors once on my bike, but I even regret doing that because I didn't do a good job. So if I can get through you know, this in a reasonable amount of time, which the book says that I should be able to do it in 3/10 of an hour, that's very unlikely considering my skill set. A good tech might be able to do it if everything went perfectly for them in about that time. Typically we charge on the new Softails about a half hour because that's basically what it takes on the new bikes. There's a little bit more involved in getting them out than on the older Softails, but nothing crazy. Certainly nothing involving taking the rear wheel off, or at least I hope it doesn't cover that. But you never know. I'm just gonna go by what Harley tells me to do. I've got a shop manual over there, and I've got a wrench, and I've got some other tools. But otherwise, you know, I'm just fingers crossed, hoping for the best that Country's wrong.
And Country here changing the oil on it.
And that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
So just to be clear, Nick, you never worked on a Harley before, except for one time you changed the mirrors on a Harley. You have no formal training whatsoever on a Harley-Davidson.
This degree in history.
He's got a history degree. He owns a Harley.
I do.
And this is the new Softail frame, which the battery changing process is the same on this as is on the Fat Boy that we saw in the video. So this is the first time.
It's a little different because the side cover, the way it comes off, is a little bit different because I don't have the suspension adjustment knob.
Right, you don't have the external preload
really,
adjuster.
It's still just taking the side cover off and taking that off. So it really is not that much different.
And taking the rear wheel off, right?
Yeah, and then you got to take the rear wheel off.
Where you got to take the back tire out.
Okay, so we're gonna do a time-lapse video of Nick changing the battery for his first time ever and see how long it takes him.
Yeah.
So they say it should take 6 hours in the video.
4-hour job? 5 hours?
Harley is 6 hours.
Harley wants 6 hours to change your battery.
And that we would normally charge about $1,000, including the cost of the battery.
That's the book time.
Yeah.
That's the book time.
All right.
So, you know, if I can do it in less than that, you know, that's gonna be pretty impressive. So really, you know, this is actually gonna cost me half a work day or more than half a work day. So
All right, well, we'll see what Nick's got here.
Good luck. This is the preferred method. You put everything on the floor. That's how I see our techs do it all the time. Just put screws on the floor. Makes them easy to find.
Don't lose that hardware.
I need this bike to get home today. So I won't be going home for a long time considering it's 6 hours to do this job. Okay, side panel off.
Oh, you mean that side cover actually comes off the bike?
Yeah, and actually it makes it a lot easier to get to the transmission fluid.
Oh my gosh.
Harley has put the transmission fuel plug and dipstick back here way behind the shock adjuster, where you have to use a swivel, and you
guys even see it?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then,
oh, there it is. It's in that hole. See it down in there?
And then you have to use a pair of needle nose pliers and play doctor operation.
Which was another thing that they talked about. There was I don't know, some confusion on how this 2-bolt thing comes off.
So you don't have to play doctor operation here, huh?
No, with needle nose pliers. It's not
Oh my
required.
goodness, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah. It's almost like Harley's, like they have engineers and they design things sometimes in a way that makes some sense.
So you're following instructions that Harley-Davidson wrote?
Pull side cover away. Yeah. So I did that. I pulled the side cover away.
All right.
So I am afraid when we get to the stage where it says remove rear wheel, because I'm not a trained tech, and that's going to be tough and potentially dangerous because I will have to ride this home later.
Because you're not using a lift either.
I'm not using a lift.
No lift. So taking the wheel off without a lift, that's going to be tough.
Yeah.
All right. No jack stand either.
Step 2 is open clip and position wiring harness out of the way.
So guys, let me know, how long do you think it's going to take Nick to change the battery on that Softail? First of all, do you think he's going to be able to successfully do it without asking for your help?
I think he's going to beat the other guy's flat rate time of 6 hours. I figure 5.5. He's in. He's good. I think he'll make it.
What do you think, John? How long for Nick to change the battery?
Since he probably doesn't have the right tools, probably around 5 hours.
5 hours to change the battery? All right, well, he gets off in about 2 hours, so, and he needs his bike to get home, so hopefully it doesn't take him that long.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, no help, no help, no help, no help. Yeah, no help for this guy. Yeah, no.
Mine's not wired properly.
No help.
The WSS connector doesn't go through the battery tabs here.
If Nick receives any help from the technicians, then he's disqualified.
you had to cut the frame to get the battery out. Yeah.
Stupid Harley and their engineers.
The rear wheel is still on there.
Well, I put it back on.
Okay, so
I'm
you
gonna have
took
to take it off to put the battery back in.
And the battery is out. Oh my gosh.
Well, according to the internet, you have to pull the rear tire out.
The internet, where truth is always provided and never anything false.
So you got the battery out.
I did. Yeah,
You're
it took
not-
me longer than a tech would have, and I had to ask a few questions. I relocated my auto tuner, which was not really required. I probably could have done it a bit faster if I knew what I was doing. I also had to spend some time on the phone with some customers because I'm also not trying to lose money at the same time as doing this. And then, you know, you kind of have to be a little bit more of a manly man than I guess I am usually. When I'm working with stuff, I tend to err on the side of being a little too delicate with things, and sometimes things just require a little bit more force. So, you know, that means I sit there, you know, making sure that everything's unclipped and unscrewed before I really start tugging on stuff. So, if I knew exactly what I was doing, it definitely could do it a bit faster.
So it took you about 30 minutes to take the battery out.
Yeah, and it probably, you know, should take 30 minutes to get one in and out. So it's probably gonna take me twice as long as it normally would take a tech.
And it's your first time doing it.
It's my first time.
And you're not
doing
a tech.
And yeah, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I had to, you know, figure out where the tools were and which tools were which, because, you know, obviously I just had no idea what I was doing. But it didn't take me 6 hours, and I think more important than that, the actual shop book doesn't say it takes 6 hours. The shop book doesn't say you need to take that off, the rear wheel, that is. And then what Harley says we should charge for it doesn't say we should be charging 6 hours or even an hour. So I don't know where country's getting his information from. It doesn't really hold up. But yeah, I'm glad that he's definitely out there and able to spread that information for everybody to enjoy and consume.
It's good content.
It's great content.
It's a 2019 Softail, right?
Yep, do not buy.
It's one of them 114 inch. I would just like to point out that for those who wish to help support my work in the making of this content, I've included a donate button down below in the comment section. And for those who don't, enjoy the content, man. It's all free.
And I think I'm going to be donating to that
Definitely
channel.
donate.
Definitely donating to that channel because it's just great content. It's perfect.
All right, so we're out here with Nick and his bike, and it looks like you successfully swapped your battery. Like, how did it go? So again, no experience, never done it before, not a trained Harley-Davidson technician.
So there's 5 bolts and some clips. Well, I mean, some of them are screws. So you gotta take the seat off. You gotta take these 2 off right here. And then there's the 2 basically leads for the battery. And that's it. And then everything else is pretty much kind of toolless. I had to snip and replace this, one of the little zip ties I've got here. You've got to take the dipstick off. This little black panel, it's toolless. It pops off. It just has little tabs. So it's really simple. A tech could get the battery in and out in a half hour. You know, it's a little fiddly and the battery doesn't really want to come out. There's a fair amount of like, it wants to rub here, and there's a brake line as well that it wants to kind of pinch against. So it's kind of fiddly. You gotta move stuff out of the way, and everything keeps wanting to like fall back into the place where it normally sits and block everything. So it's a little annoying, but it doesn't require taking the rear wheel off. Which I can't even say with a straight face. I don't know how he shot that video. I don't know. He needs to be hired by SNL because he can keep a straight face through anything, that guy.
So you followed the instructions?
Yeah, so I followed the instructions. So there's actually a service manual that you can purchase. If you're ever interested in working on your own bike, I know a lot of guys, they're like, oh, you know, the service schedule's not legit, right? I changed my own oil. No, it's legit. Like, there's a process that you're supposed to go through, and if you want to service your own bike, more power to you. Some guys love working on their own bikes, and the Milwaukee 8, you know, you can do a lot of the work on it yourself. It's not some magical thing that's somehow light years ahead of everything else. It's still a very mechanical, simple, honest engine in a lot of ways. But if you are going to work on it yourself, do yourself a favor, get yourself a factory service manual so that you can go step by step, just as a tech would, and do everything right in terms of adjusting the steering head bearing, checking the clutch adjustment, you know, doing everything properly. And if you don't have one, then you might take a lot longer to do something because you might think that you have to take, for example, the rear wheel off.
So the service manual is like an instruction manual written by the guys that built the bike.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's really helpful. So even a caveman like me can get the battery off and out. Now, even with a service manual, there's certain things I would never attempt on my own just because I'm not brave enough. But that service handbook, especially if you're gonna do routine maintenance by yourself, get that. If you're like me, you'd still probably rather pay the tech to do it because the tech's not gonna make mistakes and it's gonna save you some time. And you know, for me, I'd rather be riding than wrenching. But you know, if you're the kind of guy who likes wrenching on your bike yourself, get a factory service manual because it's going to go step by step and just kind of tell you what you need to do. It's pretty simple and easy to work on. I don't know what the big fuss is about on the new bikes. You know, I think sometimes people have this like idea that the motor company doesn't know what they're doing, or like they want to believe that because they already believe it, and so someone releases a video suggesting that something is silly about the new bikes, and it confirms what they already believe, so they're more willing to believe it. But even in the comment section of the country video or whatever, country boy or whatever his name is, Like he was saying, like there's a lot of comments that are like, oh, I can't believe it takes 6 hours. Yeah, you can't believe it takes 6 hours because it doesn't. You don't have, it doesn't take 6 hours. The motor company doesn't say it takes 6 hours. It doesn't take me 6 hours. So, you know, trust your gut. If your gut says it doesn't take 6 hours to change the battery, it probably doesn't. So some of the Softails, like the Fat Bob and the Fat Boy and I think the FXDR, a couple other models have a remote preload adjuster. That does not need to be removed to get the battery out. So if anyone's thinking that maybe that was the reason that the rear tire had to come off, it's not. That cover, the same cover that comes off, the preload adjuster's right here, and it's actually really short and stubby, and you can still get the battery past it. So, you know, that's just something I wanted to bring up. Oh, another side note. The battery for a Softail is not $200. Don't spend $200 on a battery. If you come here and you buy a battery from us, it's $130 for a Softail battery, unless you get the lithium-ion one, which is a little bit more, but you're paying for the the newer tech. And so I don't know. You know, so
it's not $1,000 to change your battery?
Well, first of all, $600 plus $200 is $800, not $1,000. That's a separate issue.
Maybe they were talking about taxes.
Yeah, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, it's $130 for a battery, and we would charge a half hour of labor. So you could get in and out with a new battery if we did everything for like $220, $230 with tax, I think, somewhere around there. And yeah, not $1,000.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Nick had to sacrifice his lunch today, and instead of feeding himself, he took the battery out of his bike for no reason. He didn't need to replace it. He didn't replace it. He took the same battery out that he put back in. So, yeah, thank you, Nick, for once again being our guinea pig. And kind of, this is an episode of Myth Busters here, Harley Busters, Harley Myth Busters.